Hey everyone, this is Carlos. I'm the founder and CEO of Product School. And today I'm here with Luca Dell'Orletta, who's the global head of mobile products and apps at Nestle. Hey, Luca.
Hello, Carlos. Very nice to meet you.
Thanks for joining the show. Where are you based?
In Barcelona, Carlos, in your very home country.
Yes, so I'm from Spain. I moved to the area 10 years ago, and it's so glad to reconnect with people. And I want to learn more about your own experience and also how you guys think about product management, especially in Europe, although I also know that you have a global footprint.
Yeah, actually, I started with a double degree in telecommunication engineering, and then my career mostly is divided in two parts. The first one is related to business analysis, project management, program management, business applications management in what we would call the traditional IT. So SAP systems, business intelligence, CRM, CDI, etc. And then the second part is all about product management. I've been breaking into this world, transitioning from project management to product management. I was leading a project management team in a top-notch digital company. And then eventually the products that were originated by those projects. And that's how I started. And today I look after mobile tech products for the Nestlé Group. And I also contribute to the Nestlé IT Transformation, leading the product management discipline within the Nestlé IT enterprise and company, one of the biggest digital transformations worldwide. So for me, product management today is most of my working life, and it's also a hobby. I do that very much also outside work. It's something that really fulfills me, and I'm really passionate about it, Carlos.
And I'm very glad that you are with us, because we typically showcase product leaders working at high-tech companies such as Google, Facebook, Uber, Netflix, and so on. And I really wanted to dissect what digital transformation and product management is for a huge company like Nestle. Like, when did you guys start thinking about product management, and like what is really going on behind what people probably think of Nestle?
Look, there is a lot of tech in Nestle. For us, product management within Nestle IT, because we have a lot of product management in the traditional side of Nestle in our core businesses. But product management in IT is an enabler for our transformation. We basically thought that we don't want to be jumping from project to project, from program to program, but instead thinking on long-lasting technical products that actually are attuned to the needs of our businesses, consumer, customers, employees continuously. So adapting continuously to the needs of our customer, receivers of our products. That's extremely important. As in, is an accelerator, is a vehicle, is an enabler for this journey. And when we talk about Nestle IT, we are talking actually about over 200 product teams in tech, in technologies that are supporting factories, supply chains, logistics, HR, and the consumer facing of our very, very huge landscape. You can think about, we have almost 2,000 websites today in Nestle. We have over 100 mobile consumer applications. So the tech, we are one of the biggest SAP landscape worldwide. So the tech in Nestle is extremely, extremely big. And product management is really a vehicle for our transformation.
That is insane. You said you have over 2,000 websites, hundreds of mobile applications. Because from the outside, like, some people may think, oh, wow, Nestle sells chocolates. But like, I think that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Well, Nestle is in many different categories, like pet care, waters, coffee, health science, and there is a huge tech behind that. And today, software is an enabler for businesses. So there is a huge tech stack behind the operations to support our 2,000 brands worldwide as well. So it's extremely big, and it's extremely challenging and super interesting for me.
So how did you get there? I'm curious about your own personal story. You said you started with business intelligence, IT. Like, I remember those days when people would call IT, information technology. I still don't know what that means, right? And now there's much more knowledge around product management, project management, engineering. Like, there's, like, we know more about the different options. So tell me more about your own experience from, learning tech to now leading an entire tech organization.
Look, it took me some time to understand that where I perform best is in managing products, whatever the scale of those products are. And I will describe myself as a product person. And the ones that do product management, we understand what that is. That intersection between the business, the user experience, the tech, I think is where I performed. And in general, I found my space. I can tell you, and to be honest, 10 years ago, when I wanted to transition into the digital booming from the traditional IT, as I said, I was a little bit frustrated because I had already quite some experience, had already certifications, project management. I was running big programs in a big company. So I was aiming for going to do a product management in Google, Facebook, the Salesforce, even Nestlé, you name it. And I was a little bit frustrated. How do I get there? And then I started getting rid of my previous experience, trying to focus on what could carry me over there. And then suddenly I realized that that experience, I could use it within this new world. Actually, project management are skills that you will still need while managing a product. So there are certain skills like financial planning, etc., that I could still very much reuse in the product management world. And then I started looking at people that was already there. I started saying, okay, what did this guy study? How did he get there? What did he do? Where did he work, etc.? And progressively, I started building a path that today brought me here. And for me, Carlos, being here and talking with you today might be normal today at the scale of what I'm doing, but at the eyes of the younger me, wanted to break into product management is quite a big achievement, and I'm very proud of it, actually. Yes,
definitely. No, and I'm very, very proud to have you with us, because we were discussing this off camera. Like when we started, there wasn't really that much access to product. And we all had to figure things out, and we didn't even know what books to read, how to apply for a job, what product management really means. And now I think the next generation has access to opportunity. I think it's very important for them to learn directly from the people who are making it happen, like yourself, and really know, okay, if that's what I want to do in my life, how do I get there, right? Instead of like trying to figure it out, and like maybe I send an email to someone and maybe it doesn't reply.
Look, I realized one thing, Carlos, over these years. At that time, I was also reaching out to many, and I think I had something to offer, but I found out that I wasn't that appealing. And eventually, with the time, even when I started launching startups and products myself, and I was trying to reach out to the investor, etc., when they were not replying to me, I was always frustrated, and I was saying, how is it possible? I have a fantastic offer. But then I realized that if they don't reply, it's because your offer is not appealing enough. So you have to do more. You have to do it better. At the point that the only alternative that they have is to get in touch with you, because you are a fantastic opportunity for them. That's something I realized progressively. So even it's a product, it's a startup, it's a project, it's an idea, or it's yourself, and you are just presenting yourself, you have to make yourself appealing for others, in order needs to see the value they are getting from hiring you or from using your product, etc. Is the only way that people will come to you, and you're not always going to find out who is going to use your product, who is going to hire you, for instance.
Yeah, definitely. We always tell our students that when you're applying for jobs, they are the product. They have to think of themselves as, okay, what do I bring to the table, and how can I explain that to another person that doesn't have unlimited time to really understand, right? So I think those small skills, well, that seem small at least at the beginning, such as public speaking, copywriting, the ability to empathize with people, to listen, they are now so important. But back in the day, I wish someone had told me, hey, this is basically what you're going to be doing for the rest of your life.
It's we were saying this before. When I was in project management, there was a lot of material. You could relate to a lot of frameworks, certifications, Prince 2, PMP, etc. When I started into product management, it's a little bit like you said, there wasn't too much. What I realized today is that this is getting more and more a framework. You see common patterns across different companies, different industries. but you see product managers doing same things, or at least facing the same problems. And that brings you to find solutions. And in most of the cases, the solutions now are getting more and more standardized. And it's a very exciting time to be in product management, to be a product leader. For the ones that have been there for quite some long, it's a fantastic journey because there is still some ground to cover. There is still a lot to do. There is still a lot of books to write about product management and a lot to read. So it's, for me, it's extremely interesting. It's an area that I adore. I like the communication of it, but I like also to stay very close to the technology and the customer and consumer experience out of our products.
So, Luca, how do you go about building your product team these days? When you are hiring PMs, do you look internally, externally? Is there any specific things that you recommend for people to highlight?
Well, something that has always worked for me in general, when I've been building product teams, and not necessarily product managers, but also is I've been hiring people that is somewhere better than I am. And it's key. Product leaders, we are supposed to do everything perfectly, but we cannot excel on everything. We cannot be excellent on communication and technology and business acumen and user experience and you name it, and financial and planning, etc. There will always be areas where you will excel and others that you might mitigate that are not directly your strengths. So first recommendation is to hire people that is somewhere better than you are, because they will help you and definitely will help you to drive forward the product. The product is not just the product leader or the product manager. The product is around the product team and everyone that is contributing into that. So that's extremely important. Then I often look after empathy, ability to be creative, so to connect the dots, ability to connect people, ability to connect unrelated things and make something valuable out of it. That's a skill that for me, it's creativity. It's a skill that for me in product management today, where technology is more and more commoditized, it's becoming very, very important. Ability to communicate, of course, that's super important, to pitch your product, to be able to reach out at many different layers within the organization. The ability to talk with top management, but also with all the stacks that composes the product and your users. That's super important. But in general, being surrounded by people that inspire you and you can learn from and boost the product, it's extremely important.
I agree. So I guess obviously there are some hard skills that are easier to screen for because you can see it on a resume or a LinkedIn profile. Like if you studied computer science, I guess you know something about coding. Or if you're working as a software engineer, same thing. Or if you're working as a designer. But how do you screen for creativity, empathy, or things that you know you want but are hard to see at first glance?
So that's it's extremely important. It's very hard to screen that. What I would recommend is if anyone is in the position of hiring product people or product teams, take your time. That's the time that you spend on the recruitment. It's a huge investment going forward. So don't rush into getting someone because you have an open position you need to fill, or you are in need of filling that position urgently. But take your time. In Nestlé, for instance, we have quite a strong process in place that is not just about being in front of situation, but also being with the product teams, being with the people that is actually building the product. So to make sure that there is certain empathy, there is certain synchrony, and also diversity. Usually when I look for someone, I want to bring something diverse on the table. If I know that someone has been an artist or has been a theater or has been in a rock band, I know that he's carrying on or is putting something on the table that we might not have. I don't want to have 15 tech product people, computer science product people, pure computer science people, because the angle they will take would be just the same. So I look very much into diversifying the product teams. Also, if I have 5, 10 different product managers, I try to make sure that their incoming path, because you can come from many different paths, is different. So maybe someone is coming from the user experience side, it's been more on the designs on understanding consumer, and another is very strong technically. So they complement each other, they can learn each other, and they can all bring something that overall it's extremely interesting and rich for the product.
I agree with you. I think back in the day, at least when I was getting started, someone told me, you have to be an engineer in order to become a product manager. And then someone said, well, but you can also do it if you have an MBA. And that was pretty much like the only two options. And now that's so not true. Obviously, you can do that, but there's not a guarantee you'll be a good PM. At the same time, you can be a designer. You can come from so many different backgrounds. We had a student that was an attorney. And
yes.
Like, I just went to him like, I wasn't why, right? There's, like attorneys usually so structured and, and I was like, why do you want to do this? He's like, I love it. I like to play around with tech, and I never had the chance to explore this curiosity of mine. And he ended up getting a job at a legal tech firm. And like, that's so cool, because where in the world are you going to find an attorney that turns PM and learns how to code?
And it's super interesting. And there is something I tell to my product manager in this line is be able to delegate, but never delegate understanding. So if you are very good in tech and you want to delegate something related to user experience or consumer research, that's fine. But you need to get back and understand what's in there, because it's only there when you get the full understanding that you will be able to drive the product toward the right direction. So it's okay, you delegate, it's okay, you don't understand for a certain amount of time if you wish, but then go back and try to understand what's in there. Of course, tech people, they understand perfectly what's in tech, and they might need to do that effort on the business side and on the user experience side. For others that come in from other paths, they might do the effort of understanding technology, continuous integration, continuous delivery, continuous deploy, how do that works, how do the engineering teams are working, etc. But the path can be very different. There needs to be a willingness to understand the three circle then.
How do you see the demand for product management in Europe?
It's very high, Carlos. It's something that is more and more in demand for several reasons. One could be, for instance, what we are doing in Nestlé. We are moving or shifting toward a product-based operating model, a traditional Nestlé IT organization centered around project and programs. So there will be, of course, as I said, we have over 200 product teams. So for instance, just within Nestlé IT, we have over 200 product managers. So you start seeing this as a trend in companies, and then startups that are consistently growing, they start hiring product managers to give a sense out of the products. So that's growing. And I was checking recently, just in Spain, I think we have over 1,000 open position in product management, which is incredible if you compare to 3 or 4 years ago.
That's incredible. I mean, and I'm glad to hear that, because I've been advocating for, hey, product management is not just for high-tech companies in Silicon Valley. This goes beyond tech. This goes beyond any industry. It's a mindset. It's really understanding that you just don't work on a project by project basis. You have to think about anything basically holistically as a product that always needs some level of iteration, and that someone has to be in the middle trying to coordinate all these different pieces, because if you only have specialists focusing on their specific KPI, then how do we know what's the overall direction?
Absolutely, that's absolutely correct. So, and as I said, there needs to be a certain maturity. As you said, product management is a mindset. It's a discipline, and it requires experience, certain abilities, the ability to say no, the ability to not to branching too much the product in different directions, or to customize it too much to please your customer. It requires certain level of expertise to make sure you don't die on the intent of growing. Even growing is extremely difficult in tech products. So it requires a certain mindset of understanding where you want to go, and then make it happen progressively in a way that is healthy for the product, for your customer, consumer, for your product teams, for your organization. So it's definitely something that moves us, motivates us, and moves us every day.
So I want to double click on that, because you mentioned you have over 200 product teams, and obviously Nestlé does a lot of different things. Some of them are public in terms of websites, but I'm sure you also have a lot of internal tech just to optimize some of your processes. So when it comes down to really defining the vision for all these different initiatives that you have, how do you really make sure that there is some consensus and an overall agreement on what's the direction of all the different product teams?
So when it comes to linking our tech product offering to our business strategy, well, that's actually the driver is the business strategy. So it's where we want to go business-wise. And then we attune and we convey or we converge our tech plans with our business plans. So our tech product offering match our business plans. So if you go into nestle.com/strategy, you will see that strategy, for instance, on pushing direct to consumer. So definitely we have tech products to enable that. Now, the challenge there is that 200 product teams, we don't want them to spend too much time thinking, how are we going to operate? What kind of tools are we going to use to build our products, etc. So that's the challenge, the opportunity that we have. So we want to build a common ground, an operating model that those 200 product teams can work pretty much in the same way and then be differentiated depending on the nature of the products, but they have a common ground to operate, common tech stack to operate, and then they can really focus on bringing the business value to our businesses. And as our CIO used to say a lot, we need to be as common as possible and as different as needed. So those product teams also serves 2,000 different brands that are in different categories, different business industries, and they need to build products that serve brands like Purina, Nespresso, Nescafé Dolce Gusto, Perrier water, in a way that their product it's common but differentiated for the different brands in a way that the brands can be successful in their business strategies, and that's key. It's a great competitive advantage if we if we tune those products to be as common as possible, as different as needed, because then it gives us speed. When you do new releases within your products, that will impact all the brands, businesses that are using your very own product.
Oh my God, I can't imagine. Like when you, if you need to make, I like the idea of having like a core platform that powers all the different brands and at the same time gives you the flexibility to customize. Like imagine if you need to make a change across the board, hopefully you can leverage that core platform to not have to go one by one.
For instance, we have a fantastic Internet of Things platform that is actually serving all our brands in all different use cases, all different connected devices that we have within Nestle. Those being very different devices. That's extremely interesting. Also, the platform that I manage, the mobile platform, is a platform that is that helps on the entire end-to-end of building a mobile application, whatever that is, wherever that is. So whatever the business behind is. So the technology stack is common for everyone. The technologies that we provide are common for everyone. And then the differentiations are in the user experience, in the branding purpose, etc., etc. So it's very interesting, and if done in the right way, it's very impactful.
And what does your day-to-day look like?
Well, many things. I'm in a global hub. I have a global position. That means talking with tons of different global brands, people everywhere. Nestlé is basically everywhere worldwide. It's super interesting. Because you talk about many different things. Sometimes it looks like you work in different companies because the extent on the variety of things that we do, the scale of the things that we do. So for me, the day is with my product team in a certain portion, with the businesses in another portion, within my peers. So the team that is looking after marketing, sales, and the business technologies. It's many things, as you can imagine, but it's every day it's different. And as I say, I come to the office to make my own job obsolete every day. I look at myself yesterday, say how I do that today better, how I do the product better, so that it's already obsolete the day after.
Well, I like that attitude, because in reality, I believe that product managers are going to be hard to replace, since we are the ones building the machine, right?
Well, the machines one day could replace us, but we'll.
I know.
Yeah.
Like, I want to believe that we bring something to the table, that it's not just pure hard skills.
In Nestlé, we used to say that we are data powered, in the sense we are not necessarily data driven, in the sense that we have a lot of expertise in what we do. We have been there for many years. And that expertise, those insights, is something that is very hard to replace. Of course, analyzing data can be replaced, but the expertise, the art of taking certain decisions with everything that you have been seeing, living, etc., it's a bit hard to replace.
So, we always say that we are always learning. And so what are you passionate about learning these days?
I read and learn a lot from my peers and my team members, that's for sure. And I read a lot about product management, what in the full extent. And I do that mostly at work. In the past, I could, I was at work working, and then afterward I could go into the book and reading, etc. Today, with 2 small kids, I do that at work. Basically, if you come to my desk, you will see tons of window opens, LinkedIn Learning, Medium. I follow everything in product management everywhere. In general, I try to strain my strengths and mitigate my weaknesses. So I read a lot about communication, pitching, etc., because I think that's something that I do relatively well. And then I try to stay up with technology, cloud-based technologies, etc., hyperscaler, etc., because I need to be in there, at least in the understanding. There was a book I was recently given called Accelerate, which I read on the plane a few months ago, and then I asked my team to fully implement it, because it was really interesting, the continuous delivery side. So I try to embed my learning immediately within my product journey, my product life. That's the way that works for me. If I read something interesting, I turn up to my product team and I ask, let's go for it, because it's a standard, because it's something that it's really valuable. So whatever I can spot every day, and today I learned to be very much multitasking, and I can absorb, and we have multiple channels of information. I try to inject it immediately within the product teams and the product.
I love your passion, Luca, and I think it's so good to see that doesn't matter how big your company or your teams are, it's all about that person who is pushing everyone, who is always curious to decide what's next. And I think, at least personally, I was able to connect with you and with other product people this way, because that is something that we can't forget. I always say that nobody's going to believe more in our products than ourselves.
The passion is the number one ingredient for doing what we do. That there is no other way around. Otherwise, it becomes a frustration. It can become even stressful. So passion is what moves us to go the next level, and to put the bar always higher. My team used to say that I'm always looking at what's next. I should celebrate more the successes, because for me it's always an intent to be better in what I do, to build a better product. The best product is yet to come. So, and it has to change and be attuned to the needs that are fastly changing. So we need that passion, because it's what really moves us toward doing always better.
But thank you for your time. I think it's been a great experience for me to connect, to learn from you. Is there anything else you would like to add before we wrap things up?
No, I think I wanted to sincerely thank you, Carlos. I've been following you for some time. It's something that was needed. What you are doing, opening this information with these chats, connecting people that is in a product leadership role, and it's extremely valuable and extremely helpful. So thank you for what you are doing. Thank you for driving this forward, and I look forward to connecting again and to stay in touch. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you.
Ciao, bye-bye.